Sponsored by
While Moscow is still reeling from its bloodiest attack on civilians, Russian President Vladimir Putin claims that the jihadists received assistance from Western and Ukrainian intelligence. After the incident, Islamic State released a video showcasing the atrocity. But the question lingers: why has Russia, despite its efforts, remained vulnerable to such egregious attacks? As we grapple with these questions, one thing remains abundantly clear: Russia's battle against terrorism is far from over. Hello, I'm Shreya Vijay and you're watching The Big Debate. A devastating terrorist assault struck Moscow, the heart of Russia, on the fateful night of March 22nd, plunging the nation into shock and mourning. The barbaric onslaught, orchestrated by the Islamic terrorist group ISIS, left over 139 innocent souls brutally murdered and more than 180 grievously wounded. This has been considered the most heinous atrocity in Russia's history. Since the year 2017, there has been no major terrorist attack in Russia. The attack happened a few days after Russian President Vladimir Putin was recently elected for the fifth time as president. So far, Russian security forces have apprehended 11 suspects. The target of this reprehensible act was the iconic Crocus City Hall, a beacon of culture and community nestled just 22 kilometers from the Russian capital. It consists of 3 separate auditoriums, each capable of seating more than 10,000 people. This center is one of Moscow's most popular concert venues. As the city's bustling concert venue, it was hosting a performance by a renowned Russian rock band when terror struck. 5 terrorists, cloaked in military attire and armed to the teeth, stormed the hall, unleashing chaos and carnage upon the unsuspecting crowd. The responsibility for the attack has been claimed by the Islamic terrorist organization ISIS. The terrorist intention was clear: to claim as many victims as possible and spread fear among the population. These images clearly show the horror of that night. Seeing these images, Indian viewers may be reminded of the 26/11 Mumbai attack in 2008. This is the first time that ISIS has carried out such a major terrorist attack in Russia. In the aftermath of the tragedy, Russian security forces swiftly sprang into action, apprehending 11 suspects linked to the cowardly attack. They claim that among them were the 4 perpetrators directly involved in the assault on the Crocus City Hall. As per Russia's FSB security service, these terrorists, after unleashing terror upon innocent civilians, attempted to flee towards the Russia-Ukraine border. They claimed the attackers were nabbed while escaping to Ukraine because they had some other associates already present there. Later, Russian President Vladimir Putin, while blaming Ukraine, said the Moscow terror attack was carried out by radical Islamists. However, he refrained from naming ISIS the terror group that has claimed responsibility for the dastardly attack. However, he suggested that Ukraine could have played a role in the attack to show their own population that not all is lost for the Kyiv regime. Russia also released a video of one of the apprehended terrorists. The footage showed a bearded man lying on the ground, describing in broken Russian how he had been paid to commit the terrorist attack. Meanwhile, the harrowing ordeal underscores grave lapses in security and intelligence, as it was revealed that the terrorists had pre-positioned weapons near the attack site, indicating meticulous planning and coordination. Despite prior warnings from the United States, Russia failed to heed the looming threat. 2 weeks before the deadliest attack in Russia in years, Americans had advised President Vladimir Putin's government that extremists had imminent plans for just such slaughter. However, the US condemned the attack and called perpetrator ISIS a common terrorist enemy that must be defeated everywhere. Notably, about a month prior to this tragedy, the United States had shared confidential information with Russia, though no concrete action was taken, possibly disregarded as mere propaganda. Subsequently, on March 7th, the United States warned its citizens in Russia to avoid crowded areas, expressing concerns about a looming terrorist threat in Moscow. Shockingly, just 2 weeks following this advisory, the devastating attack unfolded. It is believed that Putin will not remain silent regarding the terrorist attack in Moscow. Experts suggest that he will surely seek revenge for the killing of Russian citizens. While previous terrorist attacks on Russia have been attributed to Islamic Chechen terrorists, this marks the first instance of a major terrorist organization like ISIS orchestrating such a significant assault on Russian soil. This raises the pressing question: has ISIS designated Russia as its latest target? Many had assumed that, akin to the United States' resolute stance post 9/11, Russia would be impervious to such terrorist attacks. However, recent history tells a different story. For over 3 decades, Russia has borne the brunt of numerous major terrorist assaults. Much like India, which has grappled with Islamic terrorism, Russia has been incessantly targeted by Islamic extremist groups for the past 3 decades. The seeds of this terror were sown in Chechnya, a region with a large Muslim population. In 1991, when the Soviet Union dissolved and 17 new countries emerged on the world map, Chechnya also wanted to become a separate country. However, despite its aspirations, Chechnya remained within Russia's fold, spawning several terrorist organizations by 1995. These very factions orchestrated a string of catastrophic attacks across Russia. In June 1995, Chechen terrorists launched a brutal assault on a hospital in Russia, claiming the lives of over 100 innocent civilians. The following year, in January 1996, they perpetrated a chilling abduction at a hospital in Dagestan, resulting in the deaths of more than 80 individuals. The year 1999 witnessed a wave of terror as serial bombings ravaged residential areas of Moscow and the Volga region, leaving over 200 dead in their wake. In October 2002, Chechen terrorists laid siege to a theater in Moscow, holding over 700 hostages captive. The standoff ended with neutralizing 41 terrorists and the tragic death of 129 civilians. Subsequent years bore witness to further atrocities, including suicide bombings, targeting a military hospital in Moscow in 2003, a train bombing in southern Russia in 2003, and a bombing in the Moscow subway in 2004, each claiming dozens of innocent lives. The pinnacle of horror arrived on September 1, 2004, when Islamic Chechen terrorists stormed a school in Beslan, Russia. In a barbaric act of cruelty, they mercilessly slaughtered 331 individuals, including over 100 innocent school children. This heinous attack, which specifically targeted children, sent shockwaves around the world and prompted Russia to adopt a stringent stance against Islamic Chechen terrorists. What ensued was a series of devastating blows to Russia's security and stability. From the chilling hospital attacks in the mid-90s to the spine-chilling Beslan school siege in 2004, the country bore witness to a litany of horrors orchestrated by Islamic Chechen terrorists. Each assault, a grim reminder of the ever-looming threat of terrorism on Russian soil. In a bid to quash the looming specter of terrorism, Russian security forces launched a robust military offensive in Chechnya, supervised by none other than President Vladimir Putin himself. This hands-on approach initially yielded promising results, with a noticeable downturn in terrorist activities until April 2009. However, despite these efforts, Chechen terrorists continued to carry out attacks. In a chilling reminder of the ongoing threat, Chechen terrorists struck when least expected. Take, for instance, the horrifying subway attack in Dagestan on March 29, 2010, orchestrated by 2 female suicide bombers, which left 40 lives dead. And who can forget the harrowing scenes at the Moscow International Airport in 2011, where 37 died in a suicide bombing. However, the landscape of terror shifted with the emergence of Islamic State onto the scene. In 2015, Russia aligned itself with Syrian President Bashar al-Assad in the protracted Syrian civil war against Islamic terrorists. Not only that, but Russia also sent its military to assist the president of Syria. And since then, Russia has become a target of ISIS. ISIS has indeed conducted 2 major attacks on Russia, including the bombing of a flight from Sharm el-Sheikh airport in Egypt to St. Petersburg on October 31, 2015, killing 217 passengers, and bomb attacks in the St. Petersburg metro on April 3, 2017, claiming the lives of 15 individuals. Additionally, ISIS has previously targeted Russian officials in 2019 and orchestrated an attack on the Russian embassy in Kabul in 2022. And now, the recent blast at Moscow's Crocus City Hall was attributed to ISIS Khorasan, the Afghan branch of ISIS. The terrorist organization claimed responsibility for this attack on its social media platforms. But what is ISIS Khorasan and why would it attack a Moscow concert hall? In recent times, ISIS has directed sharp criticism towards Vladimir Putin and his policies, accusing Russia of engaging in anti-Muslim activities and shedding Muslim blood. The ISIS faction responsible for targeting Russia is known as Islamic State Khorasan or ISIS-K. This branch, originating from eastern Afghanistan in late 2014, quickly gained infamy for its brutal Islamic rule and aims to establish strict Islamic rule globally with a mission to eradicate all other religions. With efforts underway to bolster ISIS influence in Russia, recent events, including the killing of 6 ISIS terrorists within Russia, have raised concerns of potential further attacks in the country.